because as this thing prevails, the virus prevails, it doesn't give us a space in which to be able to really take stock of what's taken place.
And I think for me, it's about not giving way to a lot of the hysteria that is still around.
Valuable, there has to be leadership.
Because even when we were talking about rice and peas, I mean Sunday dinner. Welcome to this week's ORT. And before I get into the main body of this week's program, I wanted to read out one of the comments from one of our listeners who shared their points of view when we were talking about the American election of 2020. Brother Leroy said, "We as black people have to realize that the two biggest so-called democracies in the world, America and the UK, are also the biggest supporters of hypocrisy. They have amendments and legislation in existence, but are very slow to enforce them. They preach it often enough come election time, but however, after the election day, nothing changes. Other nations and interests can get their basic rights upheld in double quick time. We, as black people, are still fighting for ours. Why? Start with education," he says. "We all can't be musicians and athletes. We also need lawyers and doctors, carpenters and architects, as well as people involved in manufacturing. Trades and professions right across the board that will help our community to grow and build. We have to find a way to convince our community to spend internally before spending externally. There are quite a few black businesses crying out for support right now. The starting point for us is to overcome years of slave mentality, jealousy, greed, bad mind, and suspicion." He ends his post saying guidance. And now to this week's ORT, where we discuss how to be of value in a world that has been turned upside down in 2020. We are joined by our panelists, Ebony Harmony, Kindred Spirit, and Brother S. I'm not interested to know, but one of the things that's quietly in the background of my mind is this whole vaccine agenda,
Of
and
course.
where will we be come spring?
That's very, very high on the that's high profile right now.
I'm
And
telling
people's
you.
reactions to it are interesting as well, I think.
In that,
In the sense that my understanding is that, as usual, Africa is supposed to be the testing ground. But the latest update that I have is that because so many of the African leaders have stood up and said no, they can't get it onto the continent in the way that they want. So the target is now the Caribbean as the testing ground.
or
And my
or
understanding,
or the
both.
target is to put it in the water.
That too. But my understanding is that Andrew Holness has already signed up to it.
Him and Bill Gates a friend, man.
Oh, tell me about it.
Bill Gates just show him a 50, a Benjamin, and him say, "Yes, boss."
Of course. Got
Yes,
the retirement home lineup and everything. So the poor Jamaicans now have that to contend with on top of everything else.
Yeah,
But I'm
man.
hoping the rebellious streak in Jamaica runs deep.
Yes, we're hoping the Maroons rise up.
Yeah, I think,
And say,
so
no
that's
vaccine.
Interesting times, yeah. I don't think this is going to go as smoothly as people are thinking it will. So let's see.
Let's hope not. Brother Hess.
Well, I hope not. If
Oi,
Brother S.
What one?
Greetings, Brother S.
greetings, sister.
We were just having a brief discussion about the likelihood of vaccines, and yes, it's something that's quietly taking place in the background of our lives. The possibility that within a few months, someone's going to be saying, if you want to keep your job, you're going to have to take this joke. And,
Right.
Your job, your bank account,
all right.
your children going to school,
All kind of
doctor
something.
surgery, everything. That's going to be the passport to existence.
To life, isn't it?
Yeah, to life.
Oh,
So what
so
they'll say is it's optional, but if you don't take it, you are barred from X, Y, and Z.
mm,
So it's
mm.
Right.
optional, but you know it's not. So
So
that's the game that's going to be played.
there will be it's gonna be a game of chicken. Who's gonna move? Who's gonna budge first? You know?
Yes, exactly. But there is resistance. They're not publicizing the level of resistance, but there is resistance. So it
Yeah.
might be that thing about I don't know, the immovable force meets you know, what is it, the something wind meets the unmovable object or something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
There's going to
Yeah.
be a collision. There's going to be a tipping point.
Yeah. Yes. So we shall see what happens with that. So yes, so today's
Right.
topic was, how
Mm.
can a person in our community be of value, um, home in your community and so
Mm.
forth. One of the reason why this topic is one that I've looked at is because I think there's a challenge for us in living differently, especially since
Mm.
2020. I think one of the catchphrases of 2020 is "You're on mute."
Oh dear.
Oh,
Ebony, walk on. Welcome.
Greetings, everyone. How you doing?
Greetings, Ebony.
greetings, Ebony.
Good to hear your
Greetings.
voice.
Great
You
to have you
too.
here.
Yes.
We were just thinking about this topic, and I was explaining the background to why it's come up. So 2020 has been the year of 2020 vision, um, and I think it's placed some challenges on how we are of value within our families, our communities, and so forth. So that was just something, an idea I floated. If people want to run with that, or if they have something else juicier, then we can run with that. And of course, we have our quiz. So I'm more than welcome to I'm more than welcome to hear the contributions in terms of
I can
going with a
hear
different
Brother
topic.
S revving up already, you know,
Oh
with
gosh,
his
man, that man there read encyclopedia from last week.
you know, on
Stop it.
fire. Isn't
From last week, you might read him encyclopedia. Are we okay with that topic, or we want to go with something else? We were kind of
It's an interesting one, I think.
stumbling into topics talking about the vaccine, but yeah, I'm more than open to anything else anyone has.
Okay.
The vaccine's not going anywhere, and in any given week that will be relevant. So
Okay,
I think
okay,
it's. I like the one that you've chosen. I think it's worth thinking about.
okay,
Okay.
all right. So we're gonna go with how can you be of value in the numerous different forums that we live in, work, community, relationships, etc. But before that, we have our quiz. And actually, before the quiz, we're dedicating this show, or livicating this show, to Kean Prince, a young man who would be 30 today had he not been stabbed on May the 18th, 2006, after intervening to stop another youth bullying another person. And so we're remembering him today. And
Okay.
as usual, we have our quiz. And I know that I'm with some of the sharpest minds when it comes to melanated people. So I'm really looking
Alright.
forward to the answers that you're going to give me in response to these questions. So question one. A young woman wanted to organize a Black Lives Matter protest in the Forest of Dean, but she met upon fierce resistance from the majority white community near Bristol. True or false? A young woman wanted to organize a Black Lives Matter protest in the Forest of Dean this year, but she met upon fierce resistance from the majority white community near Bristol.
Mm.
True or
I
false?
would say true.
Pardon, you'd say true?
Uh,
Yes?
I think I would say true as well.
Okay.
I'm going to follow the sisters and go with the truth.
I like these sisters here. All right, good. Yes, well, you are right. It is true. KD Guy or GE said that racial prejudice is still out there in response to her suggestion of raising the issue of racial injustice in the west part of the United Kingdom, where she is in the minority. Question two. What sport again, is Maurice Joseph Burton famous for? What sport? And you can include wheels when you're thinking about sport on this one.
Morris
Wow.
Joseph Burton.
Burton. Maurice. Actually, not
Maurice.
Morris. I mean, my bad pronunciation. Maurice, as in the Moor.
Okay,
Maurice
so
Joseph Burton.
as you said, include. I'm going to go for something quite obscure. Maybe it's not obscure. How about cycling? Racing?
Yes, man.
All
Ooh.
right.
Oh,
And she's off on
Props,
the hockey,
Ebony.
right on the bullseye.
Props, Ebony.
That's two. I hope you're taking note, brother Hess. You know, she is running
Yes.
away with it.
have
So,
you ever had a bike and I cycle? Yeah.
you see. So, born in London, Maurice Burton was the first black British cyclist representing Britain in the 1974 Commonwealth Games.
74.
Yes,
Wow.
man.
Okay.
Born in London to an English mother and a Jamaican father. First black British champion cyclist. His first taste of success came when he won the junior sprint national title in 1973. He won the amateur scratch title the following year and raced over
Yes.
20 kilometers distance, although he was booed as he crossed the line.
Oh,
Right.
dear.
You know, I saw that. I saw a short documentary on him, but I'd forgotten the name. It was about 15 minutes of
Okay.
a documentary of him recently on Sky during the October Black History.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. And I have to commend Sky, really. They were being quite brave on some of the topics they were putting out. Question 3. Michael Macmillan curated what aspect of black British life from the 60s, 70s, and 80s? And the clue is it's something to do with your home.
Can you read that again?
Was it the
Michael-
Caribbean living room exhibition?
Yes, I'm going to have to give it to the sister there.
Wow.
Sharp like a razor. So
I remember it.
the West Indian front room exhibition
Yes.
that
Yeah.
curated a place with West Indian migrants who expressed their social and cultural values through
Wow.
that prism. He later published the front room migrant aesthetics in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, Kindred.
Now I'm telling you,
Indeed.
sharp like why? May I tell us? So I'm real. I can't see the studying that's been going on since last week. Well done. Practice make perfect. Question 4. Steve McQueen's Red, White, and Blue police biopic from the Small Axe series Which British actor is playing a police officer?
Oh, I've not watched them
Is it
yet.
John Boyega?
My goodness gracious me!
Oh, goodness
Eh?
me.
You see what when you eat a heavy dinner, brother?
We need
Wow.
You cannot get off the starting blocks. It is John Boyega.
Yeah.
Eh? A light
Wow.
lunch. A very light lunch, brother S. So question 5. What percentage of men who identify themselves as Caribbean are with women outside of their nation?
Okay.
25%, 37%, or 50%?
I'm going to
TikTok.
go.
TikTok.
Oh,
TikTok.
wow. I'm going to go
TikTok.
37%.
Okay. Any other bids? 30%
I'll
is
go
really juicy.
50.
What?
I'll go
Really?
50.
So
I'll
high?
go 50. I'll go
Lord.
50.
Well, you don't rate your brother then.
Controversy rules.
You don't rate
Controversy
your brother
rules.
I'm going to join 37%.
Okay. Well, 37 is a good number, but it's actually 50.
Wow.
50% of men who
Imagine.
identify as Caribbean are with women outside of their nation, with Bangladeshi at 7% and Pakistani at 9%. Africans, I
Ooh.
think, around 20%.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess we were thinking of one.
Ooh. All right. Question 5.
Question
Place-
6.
Question 6, my mistake. Get me straight. Question 6. Place the alcohol with the country.
Ooh.
Okay.
A. Mount Gay rum.
Barbados.
Oh, Lord, somebody's been to the bar. B. Carib beer. And C. Piton beer.
Caribbean is.
I would have said that was
TikTok.
Can't be the same, can it?
TikTok.
Oh,
TikTok. TikTok.
oh dear. And
TikTok.
pecan beer, you said?
Piton. Piton.
Oh, Piton beer is St. Lucia.
Caribbee's Trinidad, I think.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and the first one, so it was Barbados.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've all crossed the line in a kind of model because not one of you got them all correct. So but I'll give this a point to everyone, which is A is Barbados, C is Trinidad and Tobago, and no, sorry, B is Trinidad and Tobago, and C is St. Lucia.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's
Okay.
Next question. What does the following persons have in common? Singer Usher Raymond, actress Zoe Saldana, and actor Jimmy Jean-Louis. What do they have in common?
They all appeared on Nickelodeon.
You know, I don't even have Nickelodeon, and if I did have it, I would have put that as a question. So no, you're wrong.
Jimmy John Louis was in.
Give me the names again.
Usher Raymond, Zoe Saldana, and Jimmy Jean-Louis. Mon frère.
Oh,
Is it something like they all hail from the Caribbean or the French Caribbean?
Oh boy, you know something? If I play darts, that's the 25 ring you just lick. You don't lick the bullseye, but you lick the 25 ring.
Ooh.
You lick the 25 ring. You're close.
Ooh.
oh.
Okay, I'll put you out of your distress. They are all of Haitian descent.
Oh no! I was gonna say that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, whatever.
Ooh.
Whatever.
I was gonna say that. Honestly, it was in my head. Haitian. Jimmy John Louis. Haitian.
Well, I thought
Yeah,
that
it's
was
the
a big
name,
clue, you
that's all,
see.
yes,
Jimmy
the
Jean-Louis.
Yes. Haitian name.
All right. So, here's one you should all get.
I can't give them no more.
Huh?
I can't give them no more.
Yeah, man, you're gonna run off the heavy laundry.
I'm on fire now. I feel vexed.
Hush, never mind.
Name 4.
Bex.
Spirit taking out in it, brother S.
Name 4 of the ingredients that goes into making rice and peas. And it's not the rice or the peas.
Thyme, garlic, onion.
Rice and peas, coconut milk.
Coconut milk.
Coconut cream, sorry.
Go.
Me hear she said coconut milk.
You know what I meant.
No. You can't give her that one.
You're very harsh, brother S. You're very harsh.
Yeah.
Okay. Once
Slip
again,
of the tongue, man. Slip of the tongue.
once again, you've all stumbled over the line. So I see Ebony sprinted off, and she just needed one more to win it outright.
It's the coconut cream. Coconut milk.
Okay, or even salt.
Even so.
Yes. So there's a range. It depends how you make it, but generally it's onion, garlic, thyme, Scotch bonnet, salt. Some people use butter and coconut milk.
Yes.
So well done. Oh, I'm so proud of you this week. You guys, as every week, but you've definitely gone and done some homework. So well done.
Fantastic. Well done, ladies. Fantastic. Put me to shame.
Well, you usually win every
I'm
week.
sure brother S will bounce back in style.
Oh, without doubt.
This is ORT.
This show is sponsored by Sunrise Organic Sea Moss, whose purchasing details are in the description below. How can we be of value in moving on from 2020, the year of so many challenges? Psychic challenges, emotional challenges, all kinds of challenges. How can we be of value to improve our lived experience and also that of the people around us and those who are no longer around us?
Yes. I think it's going to require a time for reflection first.
Okay.
We're gonna have to, because as this thing prevails, the virus prevails, it doesn't give us a space in which to be able to really take stock of what's taken place, how that's impacted us, and will continue to do so for some time moving forward, before we can then determine the position that we find ourselves in to make some different choices and decisions. For me, that is the case. I still feel like I'm in it.
Okay.
And waiting for a clearing, a psychological clearing, a physical clearing, to be able to better determine how am I gonna be operating when this is better managed. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Okay. Any other contributions?
I think the point about reflection is an important one. And I think for me, it's about not giving way to a lot of the hysteria that is still around, not getting caught up in a lot of the misinformation that's around, and trying to maintain a sense of calm in the middle of all this, and to continue questioning and not taking everything at face value, and maybe adding value by being the person who says, well, hold on, this doesn't quite make sense, or I need to understand that a bit better, or whatever, instead of going with the constant flow of worry and panic, and we need to do this. Maybe being the person who stops for a minute and says, well, hold on a second, let's just pause for a second and let me think this through and see if I can maybe reframe this a bit, to the people around me, to give them a different angle with it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, being the reflective voice.
Yeah, so very similar to what Brother S was saying. Yeah, you need some calm heads right now, and I think that's more than ever. And if it happens to be me or any of us who can bring that sense of calm, I think that is adding something really, really vital right now.
Yes, indeed. I agree with both brother and sister in everything they've said, really. And I think Brother S is really quite right in terms of talking about a period of reflection, because I think before one can be valuable as an individual to others, to the community, and what have you, you need to have had a period of self-reflection, and to sort of like compartmentalize things before you can take a leadership role. And I think to be valuable, there has to be leadership. But I think you need to have sort of like reflected on yourself, reflected, externally as well, because 2020 is thought about quite, a significant and the existence of, humans and functionality in life. There's a lot there to reflect on and see what that means for you as an individual.
Okay.
Apply that.
Okay. So in that regard, one of the things that came to my mind was, I don't want to overdo the thing of unity, but whether it's COVID or George Floyd's murder, there seems to be a splintering around how to be of value. Some people are investing in something, some people are not investing in local communities or workshops or groups or schools or whatever. But I suppose what's coming to my mind is that, is this solely a personal choice? Is it just a personal journey on how to be of value? As well as the fact there has been a new Black political party, or the emergence of a Black political party, and some people looking more towards being more financially independent as a way of achieving something different, moving on from this reference point.
Yes, but I think in order to be able to determine which one of those you want to integrate into the way you think and how you act, because we've been inundated with so much information and disinformation, coupled with the overriding fear and anxiety that's also been conjured up, and for people not being able to know, can I make a decision about anything right now, and plan to be able to carry that out when there still seems to be so much that's up in the air.
Yeah. So this is where you're coming from in terms of being able to reflect.
Yes. So I have some plans, for instance. I have some plans of what I'd like to do. But in order to enact those plans, right now, it feels like I'm having to wait for clarification about how we as a country of people are going to be allowed even to move forward.
Yeah.
So the planning is almost a moot point. Yes, you can plan, but you can't act on any of the plans because of the restrictions and limitations which currently exist.
Okay. What would be a limitation that you could share with us?
Well, in terms of just being able to meet.
Okay. Duh. Yeah, that's an obvious one, yes.
Okay. So if you think it may be obvious, but it's fundamentally important, right? Because even through the meeting, then you can be able to gauge at what pace, how people are feeling, if that is impacting their ability also to think clearly and therefore to plan clearly.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a cloud that still exists in many aspects of what we would like to be able to do, both individually and as a community. That until that cloud for me is gone, it feels like I'm stuck.
Okay.
I think that's really true. It's a kind of shared energy, isn't it?
Yes.
So even though, yes, we can communicate, we can make the links, but there is something about that collective energy that is missing from the equation.
Sure.
Okay. You need to be present. There is something important about presence, isn't there?
I've seen on. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. We've been stripped of that due to the pandemic, and you're correct. You're right and correct that the idea of just being able to, as social beings, just being able to amass and to be able to gain a sense of where people are at by being face to face with them, that's been taken away from us. So I don't think we're operating at our optimum as beings.
Exactly.
So could this time of not being able to meet, could it be an opportunity to recharge our batteries and get back to some basic principles about what we'd want to contribute to the larger group? Like, for instance, on social media, there is a engagement with people like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing or Neely Fuller, and other theorists, Richard Wright, people like that, that you see people looking at these things and they're saying, hold on, these conversations were taking place 30 years ago and nothing has changed. But what happened in the meantime was capitalism. People became busy earning their money and paying their mortgages and doing their jobs to a high standard. But our position within the more dominant systems slowly but surely took less and less of a precedence. So could this time be a good time to re-engage with some of those theorists, people like Barbara Sizemore, and trying to use some of the arguments that they articulated so well in helping us revitalize our mental fortitude and bring that to the wider picture?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a time for that kind of reflection, and there is a lot out there for people to engage with and to go inwards, I suppose, is what you're describing to some extent, because you actually start to really analyze this stuff and look at what it means for you now that you have a bit of headspace to do that. So where there is crisis, where there is problem, there is also opportunity, isn't there? So, but you have to have a certain level of awareness to recognize it as an opportunity and to start to connect and engage with that material that's out there and really start to think about it. Because for some people, there are dangers in going inwards if they're not ready and they're not prepared. And then, some people can't sit with themselves because for all the reasons that have been mentioned, the busyness, the putting things off, the not having to deal with things. And now when you're forced to, and you're not ready, that will have a negative effect on some people. But I think overall, yes, it is an opportunity, and it's very, very useful. I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out now that some of us have had some awareness of, but to see it coming out so prominently now and to see people really looking at it and thinking about it in a very different way bodes well. And I hope it's not just because, I hope that there isn't this kind of elastic effect where people bounce back to what was before the minute that things start to feel familiar or comfortable again. So we do need to make the best of this opportunity.
I think there may be a degree of that bounce back, but I think Kush-I had to say it has some substance, because I think there is a larger audience for it now. The effect.
Definitely.
It means people are tapping in on social media, and there's information that's been read. I was going to say shared, but I think a lot of this has already been shared, and has been shared for a while. But I think people are, more open to reading and watching this information and this knowledge. And I think also, I certainly have been to a few, some forums and meetings that have been set up by brothers and sisters to discuss some of these subject matters in more depth. I think that's something that's happened increasingly in this period as well. So I think there may well be a degree of, the bounce back effect that you speak of, Sister Kindred. But I think there is a good percentage, I'm optimistic there is a good percentage of people who've been open to that knowledge and will move forward with that knowledge, perhaps in different ways, but with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Is Kush gone again?
No, I'm here. I like to leave the space for other people to step in. So are we saying in some ways, all right, let me pose a question. Do we need a different value system than what we've been working with? This idea, you go to uni, you get a degree or something, you qualify, you get a mortgage, you buy a car, you go on holidays, you get married, you have the children. Is there something else? Is this a time now when we can recalibrate the value system?
I think we will have to. We absolutely have to. If we're looking to make the changes that we know are vital to us, we are definitely going to have to rethink what value means and what the priorities are for us. And I don't know that we've ever really done that on a massive scale for a very, very long time. What is our place and what are the priorities for us, and what do we need to do? What are our needs, and how do we need to organize ourselves to make sure those needs are met? those are not conversations that we've been having broadly in this way for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Because even when we were talking about rice and peas, I mean Sunday dinner.
Yeah, even that, yeah. As
Sunday
basic as that.
dinner. That when you could rely on people coming round from family or friends
Mm,
coming round. But this how many people now are working these odd hours and family life
true.
is just taking one step back every time. So there is an opportunity like brother has said about us, for us to ask ourselves, so what are the values that we are working towards? You know, look at things like and this is not being critical, but you'll have people who go to Ayanapa. They will go to places in Spain and France, and their family come from the West Indies, Africa, and they have no interest to go there.
So true. Yeah.
They have absolutely no interest to take their children to meet extended family members. And this has been something that's been, well, I don't know if it's slowly been happening to us as a community, but it's happened over a number of decades now, where, we are becoming more detached from some of the original value systems that we would have adhered to.
Yeah. But I think for some of those people, in defense of some of them, we have the chestnut, which we cannot ignore, that the ever increasing prices of being able to travel out to, let's say, the Caribbean,
Uh-huh.
right? It's absolutely relatively expensive to
Uh-huh.
go there with a family of you rather than to go to the Ayia Napa.
Well, and I take that point in, but it's more about a wish. I don't, I'm talking about personal experience. Some people I know, they don't even say, I want to go to,
Sure.
see where grandma comes. They don't say that.
Yeah, and that's quite sad in of
Yeah.
itself. That's quite sad if they, for whatever reason, have feel detached or have chosen to disassociate themselves from that of which they originate, and that they find more kinship in going to places that actually they have no real historical perspective of. Yeah, because I think not only will they be starving themselves as the adults, but they're also starving their children from being able to access that experience.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that's quite sad.
And that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because for me, I think, well, it's about people's consideration of what is a holiday destination for them.
Yeah.
And it's, like you said, it's quite sad if they think that their place of birth or their grandparents or parents' place of birth is not somewhere they find comfortable, or see as somewhere they can holiday or rest, or even to the, at the lowest end of things, let alone to consider that they want to develop knowledge or experience, their culture in its truest forms. It's really quite sad, that mindset, um, that one would rather go to Ayanaka than to go home, where they would be welcomed beyond their belief,
Mhm.
made to feel comfortable and feel as if they belong.
They could
Um,
disappear in the crowd like when Jesus
Mm.
went to Africa and he hid, like Moses went there and he hid. So obviously they must have been black to be able to do that. Instead, they want to go someplace and stand out.
stand
Okay.
out and be discriminated against. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
In
like
languages they cannot speak.
yeah,
Mm.
facial
And
expressions offer a lot. They know when to run.
Tell me about, yeah.
so yeah, so we've got a couple more minutes on this before Zoom kindly takes out the building. Any final thoughts then on how can people be of value in a few sharp sentences to their families, to their work and their communities?
Well, To our families, we need to be ever present. To our at work, yeah, we need to be thinking about placing that, that old saying about do you work to live or do you live to work? That needs reviewing, and about being able to know that, yes, in order to acquire a certain quality of life living in the West, you need to reach for a certain level of income which will permit you to live in the lifestyle that you desire. So there is that. As far as in the community, yeah, as I said, I have some individual plans about how I might be able to be better served in being present and valuable in the community. And when this thing subsides, I'll be better placed to be able to see what I can do regarding that.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're running out of time. Thank you all for your contributions today, and to our listeners, walk good.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Peace to everyone.
Yes. Stay safe, family.
Yeah.
All right.
God bless.
All right. Pleasure. Pleasure.
This show is sponsored by Sunrise Organic Sea Moss, whose purchasing details are in the description below.
Included below are related links to this discussion. Please share, comment, and subscribe. And remember, talk the thing.